Hello, happy 2026. It's the first Monday of the new year in 2026, which is the 5th, January 5th. So here I am. I'm going to be ordering a green screen, and rather than wait for perfection, I'm going to record today, put it up, and may play around with some AI. Again, I'm learning my AI, and it is what it is, and we get to be consistent. So really, today and this year is about imperfect movement forward. There's a great I don't know if it's we'll say Eastern philosophy or attributed to being, whether it's Chinese, Tibetan, or Japanese, I don't know, but like an old saying that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is right now. And I may be misquoting that, but that's basically what it means. And it's the same with life, right? I have known that this gets to be done persistently, consistently, making some daily content. It's important. So, message to you, if you're anything like me, if there's something you want to do and you know that it's a goal of yours and you know it needs to be done, but you've been not moving forward because it hasn't looked a certain way, it hasn't been perfect, you haven't had all your stuff, you don't have your green screen, you don't have the right camera. I'm working off of a cell phone right now because it's actually superior recording to my very expensive PC computer with its camera. That's fine. That's another content. I'm digging into best cameras to use, which I don't have today, and it doesn't matter. We're moving forward today. So one other thing I'm going to talk about is AI use, especially if you're 40 and over. Most 40-year-olds and over are very familiar with, or at least have heard of ChatGPT, which is fine and great and can be wonderful. And I was surprised to find out that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of other AIs out there. I'm just barely scratching the surface, so I'm not here to tell you about all the greatest AI. But I'm going to tell you about one challenge that I uncovered last night with the ChatGPT that I was pretty ticked, I guess. I've been using it for a couple of years. It knows me pretty well, and I thought I was getting some pretty good answers and moving forward with, and I thought it was giving me pretty good coaching and business advice. And then I watched an hour-long video from an expert that was actually from many years ago, but he was just ahead of his knowledge of AI, and I'm just barely catching up. That's okay. And he suggested that I put in certain prompts, which we'll talk about later. Maybe I'll drop them down in the comments, or actually, you know what I'll do? I'll put an email link up or an opt-in link. And if you want to know what prompts I use that turned everything around, you can subscribe, and then it'll send you out an email that'll tell you what prompts that I use that completely turned my AI usage and the answers I was getting upside down on their head. And I was so ticked at the answers that it was giving me before over the previous 2 years that, like the people have said in the past, AI will lie to you. I'm like, well, I've gotten pretty good answers, and I thought I was using it pretty well. And I knew it was a little over the top, like trying to say, oh, that's the right decision. I'm like, yeah, you're just saying that. You would say no matter what I said was the right decision. So he taught me some prompts. I put them in there and told it to use these as the baseline prompts always. And the different answers that I got back last night, as far as the track that I was on and the track that I should be on for my business, were night and day, black and white, upside down, astounding. And it ticked me off because for the last couple of years, I thought I was getting great advice from ChatGPT. Now, I'm not a victim. It is what it is, and I've learned a lot. I've used it. That's fine. Okay, I'm going to move on from today. That's all we can do when we learn a lesson, is pivot from that moment and move forward. So, going forward with something that I really should have started 26 years ago or 2 years ago, but that's okay. Going back to the basics and teaching what's really worked for me for getting unstuck, for moving forward, for breaking through, for getting unstressed, for fixing other challenges that show up in other areas of my body that might look, I'm trying to use the word right to not get in trouble with any regulators, that might make me feel not so great. And although there's other things I've put in my body, better food, maybe different supplements, the first thing was the foundation, getting the fundamentals right of clearing up the environment in my head, cleaning up the head trash, cleaning up the negative programs, which are or were self-sabotaging me. So that's where my biggest strength is focusing on that, because that's where I've studied the most content for the last 40 years. So in future episodes, we're going to talk a little bit more about what I've discovered in what has changed my physical health and well-being, and maybe different supplements that I am taking or not taking, and what they've done or not done. But that's not what today's episode is. I'm probably not going to get into much of that over the next year unless the demand were to maybe skyrocket. But right now I'm really going to focus on, number one, get the environment up here correct so that the messages sent here to the heart or subconscious are correct, and then everything else should theoretically flow. And secondly, if you're using AI, well, for one, you should be, because that's the biggest thing since the .com boom of like the 99 to 2000 era that just totally blew up the whole business world. AI is that new thing. Most people aren't using it right. They don't use it really. It's going to make it already has made more millionaires and billionaires just in the last couple of years than anything else has in the last 25 years. It's crazy. I saw some reports and it's just blowing things up. People, the .com made it possible for people to finally be a solo millionaire. Well, now the AI has actually literally made several solo billionaires, which has never been possible before. It used to take a huge team of people to make $1 billion. I don't care if you want to make $1 billion or not. The point is leverage. So that is literally a 1,000 times leverage from 1 million to 1 billion, right? Because it's 3 zeros, which is multiplying 1 million times 1,000. So people have been able to improve their output by literally 1,000 times using AI if done correctly. And that's also when we went from the running a brick and mortar business, which people still do and can do today. So before the internet, it took a lot of work, and you could reasonably do 100,000, but to get to 1 million on your own in a brick and mortar store without help was basically impossible. Whether it was you're providing a service, like you're a practitioner or something, or a printer, or you're providing products like you're a store, it didn't matter. You still needed help to get to that $1 million mark and above. Then the .coms came around, and all of a sudden, a single person could make $1 million a year, and then later on $1 million in a day by themselves without a team, just online. So that was the first big quantum leap in business with technology with the .com. And now we're seeing it again. So going from 100,000 to 1 million is that 1,000 times? Yeah, that's three. So yeah, that's 1,000 times jump, right? From 100,000, you're adding 3 zeros to that, which is, if I'm not doing my math wrong, and I don't care if I'm not, it doesn't matter. It's a big jump from the $100,000 mark a year to $1 million mark a year, and now from $1 million mark a year to $1 billion mark a year. Or if you like me, I've got a nice, comfortable, passive $100,000 income lifestyle, but it's just enough. So I've heard this before, and it's so true. You can be broke at any level, or you can be just making it at any level. So I'm making enough, but I don't have all the extra that I want. So it's great. I don't have to work. I don't have to punch in a time clock. I love it. I get to create my own hours. It's wonderful. And if I want to go on a dream vacation, which I've done several, if I want to do some more and not go into debt to do it, I get to change something, right? So I get to put in some action. So here I am making the video, for example. So we're going to talk about what the AI did. Let's talk about what I was doing before. So first of all, I wasn't consistently putting out content. Okay, that is something I am recommitting to today. If you aren't perfect, great, you're human, like me. I'm sorry. So I am also learning how to look at this green dot instead of look at my own self-image or my own image on the camera over on my phone over there. And after I get some more professional equipment, it will be easier, but it is what it is. And today I get to move forward with as it is. So, I'm going to try something. I'm going to experiment. Hopefully I don't cut off too much of the image here. I'm going to cut off. There we go. So I'm cutting off that side over there so I don't see myself. And now I'm just staring right at the green dot. It's why not? It's a hack. So what was I doing before? I was spinning my wheels. Okay. I purchased a great service. There's a couple out there. I purchased one. It's way more than I needed. I purchased it largely for the education. If you want to know about it, I'll tell you about it in my email. You can opt in and I'll tell you what I've used over the last year. It's wonderful. You can use it. The education is great. And it's for going from 0 to 100,000, it's probably not the best education tool. It is wonderful if you're taking 100,000 or $1 million a year and you're scaling that up. It's great. The education is really more designed for that. And they've tried to water it down for the folks like me that are, I've done some business traditionally, knee to knee, face to face, and then later on Zoom call face to face for 30 years. I was in the insurance business. Honestly, I got into it out of scarcity. I got out of the Army when I was 1998, honorably discharged, and I could have been a medic in the real world, which would not have been bad, an emergency medical technician. I was licensed, but I would have been at the lowest level earning minimum wage, which now that I look back would have been fine because I would have learned and I would have grown and whatever. But I said, oh, that's not enough. I'm going to look for something else. There's got to be a quicker way. So yeah, here's my quicker way 30 years later. So there's nothing wrong with the job. If that's what you're doing, great, do it. As long as you're happy. So I thought I would be happier and could make more money in the commission sales world. And I did okay. Learned a lot about sales. It really turned me on into the personal development space, which I was already introduced to at age 10. And from then I was just really hooked on it. It's something I've just been fascinated with, and I love it to death. And once I learned how to take all of that knowledge and tools that I was acquiring and really start to actually get past my own self-sabotaging programs and put it to work, which I really needed a good coach to do, then everything changed. So what coaching did for me and what it does for most people is it helps you see your blind spots. So for example, for the last 2 years, I've not used an actual coach. I've been listening to some audiobooks. I've been doing a lot of content, absorbing a lot of content, and I've been spinning my wheels as far as business goes because I was thinking, oh, I'm using the AI to be my coach, not knowing that the AI was really just being a sycophant and was telling me stupid stuff like, oh, that's the greatest choice in the world. You're on the right track. And then after I rearranged how it would take the feedback and give it back to me, and so that it would give me honest, true, brutal, no BS feedback, then it changed everything upside down. And it's like, well, thank you. I wish I'd had this advice from you 2 years ago, or hired a coach, but whatever. I'm here. It is what it is. And I'm on the right path now. So if you're stuck, the very first thing, if you're going to use AI to be your coach, the first thing you need to do is get some of this base programming in your AI rewritten so that it stops giving you these wonderful answers where, oh, you're on the right path. You're doing such a good job. Keep it up, even though you're on the wrong path and it's just going to lead you to nowhere. So if you really want to grow, obviously a coach is ideal. And I'm actually going to start launching some very basic courses that will kind of help people who are not ready to take on a full coach to, one, help your AI tweak you, and two, let's just get some fundamentals right. So that's number 2. So in the last 30 years, I just learned from taking a course, and I'm only in the second day of their content. So they have 8 to 10 hours of day worth of content for 2 days. And so I've gotten through almost the second day of it. So I haven't even finished the first week. They're just covering business fundamentals, which are so crucial because this other program that I bought a couple years ago is great. And they go into a lot of advanced stuff, because the owner, he's already in the $100 million range. He loves to teach the advanced stuff. He hates to teach the fundamentals. He even says so in his podcast and his materials. But he's done his best to water it down so that anybody could take it from zero and scale up to 10, 100,000, and then a million. The problem is it's the same thing with the 80-20 principle. In fact, it's even probably, I don't know what his actual numbers are, but I don't suspect he's getting as high as 20% of the new people are getting up to the $100,000 plus mark. It's probably more like 20% of the 20%, maybe even 20% of that. So 4% or 1%, maybe. And that's skeptical numbers. I don't know what it is. And it doesn't really matter. So what I found out is there were some very basic fundamental concepts about business that I thought I knew, but it turns out I really didn't know. And so going through just the first days of this other course, which email me, I'll put it in there and tell you about it. That one I'm not even getting paid for, but I'll just share you with it because the content is unreal. If you're starting at zero and you're trying to build a course or something and get some revenue coming in, even in the AI, especially in the AI age. And actually they say that, there are actually more courses being built now, but there's a lot of crap, junk courses that are going out there because of AI. And then there's a lot of people that are you get a good course and then people will come in and try to copy it. And then they'll show, well, don't try to model what other people are doing. Let's instead find out how you differentiate yourself and make yourself a better quality. So even though you could charge more than so-and-so that tried to model and copy your content and say, hey, they're just as good as what you just put out, but they're cheaper, you say, well, okay, that's fine. You can use them, but we are 10 times better because we give you better results and we do this. And it's really it's a quality focus instead of let's just model and be 10% better, which is kind of the other school of mind, which I don't like. The first one that I talked to, the first one that I bought into, they teach some modeling, which is not copying, but it's just kind of like using a template basically, but they don't teach copy and they don't teach try to just be 10% better. They do teach innovation, but this other group starts it with a different angle, which I really appreciate. So I know this is very abstract. So we'll get into a little bit of the nitty gritty probably in future content. For right now, we're just going to end there. This is episode 1 of the new year. Episode, I don't know what of how many I actually have out there. We'll take a look. Episode 5, 6, 7. I don't know. We'll figure that out. So if you're new, this is welcome. If you want to know more, go to lennymorgan.com or look at the link below. Subscribe. If you want to know specifically about the content that I mentioned here in this video, then I'm going to put a separate link below that is specific to this video for this content. And then you can get that content. That will put you into the basic same list that you would get into at lennymorgan.com. The only difference is if you go just to lennymorgan.com, you're not going to get the specific websites that I talked about. But that's fine. That's where you're going to get everyday up-to-date stuff where when you're viewing this could be 6 months to, 6 years old. So it may not be relevant at that point. All right. Have a great day. Signing off, and we will see you later.